All right, partners, saddle up. We're diving into Saloon Shuffle today. And I gotta say, this card game, I mean, just the name itself conjures up images of like dusty saloons and showdowns at high noon.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really captures that feeling.
And looking at these sorts of the rule book, that word from the creator bit, it seems like they really lean into that whole Wild West vibe.
They do, but it's more than just a theme, right? What's interesting here is how Celine Shuffle takes it a step further. It's not just slapping a cowboy hat on a deck of cards. It's about, it's like they're tapping into that whole mythology of the West, you know?
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
classic tropes we all know, like the tension of a showdown or that thrill you get when you outsmart an outlaw. They weave it into how the game actually plays.
Oh, totally. And it makes you feel like every choice you make when you're playing every card
It's significant, yeah.
has more weight to it because it's all wrapped up in that Western atmosphere.
Exactly. It's that ambiance, right? It just sucks you in.
And they're not exactly subtle about it either.
No, not at all.
We're talking a town literally called Shuffle Creek.
Right, where they have a whole saloon shuffle tournament every year.
How cool is that? And then you've got the cards themselves. Sheriff Sam, Bandit Bill. I mean, come on. It's like...
It's like stepping into an old Western movie every time you deal.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. It's not just for show. This immersive theme they've created, it's not just window dressing. It actually impacts the game's design. Think about it. The Wild West, it wasn't just about looking cool, right? It was about, like, making tough choices when you're under pressure, often with not enough information.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Saloon Shuffle, it captures that feeling. Suddenly, every card you play, it could make or break your whole game.
Okay, you've definitely got me hooked. Now, the rule book, it mentions the game is fast-paced, full of unexpected twists, which, I'm not gonna lie, that's right up my alley. But how does it actually play?
So, at its core, you're trying to match colors and play these special cards to outmaneuver your opponents. The goal is to be the first one to empty your hand, which, by the way, creates this constant pressure, right? You're always having to think ahead, try to anticipate what everyone else is going to do. But here's where it gets really interesting.
So we're talking special cards here, right? Jailhouse, gun duel, dynamite. There's even a saloon card. I don't know why, but I'm getting flashbacks to those old card games we played as kids. You know, where one card could just completely change the entire game.
Oh, for sure. Those are the best. And yeah, special cards in Saloon Shuffle, that's where the real strategy comes in. They each have these unique effects, can really shake things up. It means you're always on your toes.
Okay, give me an example. How do they work?
Okay, imagine this. You're about to go out, right? About to get rid of your lost card, feeling good. Then bam, someone hits you with the jailhouse card. You're stuck, got to skip your turn and watch everyone else catch up.
Oh, man. That's brutal. And gun duel. That sounds like things could get a little dicey.
Gun duel is great. It lets you challenge another player. Winner gets to keep playing. Loser has to draw a card.
Yeah.
All about reading your opponents, knowing when to take a risk, maybe even bluff a little.
So there's definitely some mind games going on.
Oh, absolutely. And here's another thing that's clever. You can't actually win the game by playing a special card.
Wait, really? Why not? You'd think they'd be even more powerful if you could win with them.
Well, that's the point. It keeps people from just holding on to those powerful cards, hoping for a guaranteed win at the end, right? You actually have to use them strategically throughout the game.
So you can't just, like, rely on getting lucky with a good draw.
Exactly. You've got to think ahead, play smart.
I see. It's all about making smart decisions from the get-go.
Exactly. It goes back to what the creator said about the game. You know, even with all this talk about strategy and special cards, he really wanted to keep it easy to learn.
I have to admit, I was starting to worry I'd need, like, a whole lesson on how to play before we even started recording.
Not at all.
Yeah.
He wanted something anyone could pick up and enjoy, no matter how much experience they have with card games. And I think he pulled it off, don't you?
And you know what else I love? The credits section. The creator gives a shout out to everyone, like literally everyone.
It's true, he does.
The artists, designers, playtesters, even his kids.
Yeah, I thought that was so sweet.
It really shows how much heart went into this game. It wasn't like some soulless cash grab by a big company. This was a real passion project.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You can tell it was a labor of love.
Yeah.
Bringing people together around a shared love of games, of storytelling.
Exactly. And speaking of putting love into something, we got to talk about the FAQs. I'm a big believer that for any game, that's where you find the good stuff.
Oh, absolutely. The hidden gems.
It's where the creators can really dive into those like tricky rules, clear up any confusion, even give you a little extra strategy sometimes.
Totally agree.
For example, and this one caught my eye, there's an FAQ about the dynamite card. It seems like there were some questions about which card color you have to match after you play it.
Oh, right. Yeah, the Dynamite card, it can be a bit of a head-scratcher.
Yeah. So, like, what's the deal with that?
Okay, so the FAQ makes it clear you have to match the color of the last base card played,
Hmm.
not any special cards that might be on top. It's a small thing, but it can totally change how you use the card.
So you can't just throw down dynamite to change the color all willy-nilly. It's like chess, not checkers.
Exactly. Gotta think ahead. What about the gun duel card?
Oh, I was just getting to that. I bet there's some interesting strategies with that one.
There are. So the FAQ says that whoever plays the gun duel card, they get to choose the suit, even if they lose the duel.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
It adds this whole other layer of risk versus reward, right?
Hmm.
Because you might be forced to choose a suit that actually helps your opponent.
Just to get rid of a card that's hurting you. I love it.
Exactly. Risk it for the biscuit. And you know, there's one more FAQ that I wanted to touch on. It's short and sweet, but I think it says a lot about the game. The question is simply, what happens when the draw pile runs out?
Okay, now I'm curious. What does happen?
So, and this is what I think is so clever.
Hmm.
It turns out that Saloon Shuffle, it's not just about being the first to get rid of all your cards.
Really?
It's also about minimizing your losses in case you're stuck with cards when the game ends. Adds a whole other layer of strategy to that final stage of the game.
It's like they're saying, hey, even when the odds are stacked against you, there's always a way to play smart. Always a way to come out on top.
Exactly. Got to think like a true gambler.
So to wrap things up, folks, if you're looking for a card game that's more than just a way to kill time something with a real story, with a strategy that'll keep you on the edge of your seat, you gotta give Saloon Shuffle a try. I have a feeling it'll be a hit.
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
you know, as you're playing, think about this. What is it about the Wild West that still speaks to us today? That makes us want to step into those boots and those saloons, even for just a little while? I think Saloon Shuffle has found the answer.